the UB-85, was a Type UB-3 U-boat in the German Imperial Navy during World War I. The UB-85 carried 10 torpedoes and was armed with a 8.8 cm deck gun. The UB-85 would carry a crew of up to 3 officers and 31 men, and had a cruising range of 8,180 nautical miles. Ordered on the 23rd of September 1916, the U-boat was built at the AG Weser shipyard in Bremen, and commissioned on the 24th of November 1917, under the command of Captain Lieutenant Günter Kretsch. On April 30, 1918, the British patrol ship named the Corpses was sailing off the Belfast Lock in Ireland, when it came upon a disabled German submarine, the UB-85, floating on the surface of the North Atlantic. The crew members of the Corpses were stunned by their discovery, as they did not often come upon non-aggressive German U-boats, especially not in the middle of the day. To the astonishment of the British ship's crew, the Germans were standing on the deck with their hands up, and were willing to surrender without a fight. The crew of the UB-85 was picked up by the Corpses after they abandoned ship with no provocation. Once on board the British patrol ship, the UB-8 commander, Captain Günter Kretsch, was interrogated immediately. One of the first questions asked by the British officers conducting the interrogation regarded the decision to remain on the surface even after the obviously British Corpses ship came within the UB-85 line of sight. According to Captain Kretsch, his U-boat surfaced the night before in order to recharge the submarine's batteries. Kretsch was on deck with some men, and a few of his officers, getting some fresh air and having a smoke, when an abrupt surge rocked the ship, and a heavy weight seemed to bring down the starboard bow. Out of the darkness of the night, what the captain referred to as a strange beast climbed out of the ocean and onto the side of the U-boat. The following is the description of the beast as told by Captain Kretsch to his British captors. This beast had large eyes, set in a horny sort of skull. It had a small head, but with teeth that could be seen glistening in the moonlight. Every man on watch began firing a sidearm at the beast, but the animal had hold of the U-boat forward gun mount, and refused to let go. Captain Kretsch continued, stating the proportions of the beast were so immense that it rocked the U-boat, and caused it to list greatly to the starboard side. Fearing that the ship's open hatch would dip below the water line, which would subsequently flood the U-boat and sink it, Captain Kretsch ordered his men to continue their barrage on the creature. The crew continued firing upon the beast until it finally released the forward guns, and disappeared back into the night-blackened ocean. Captain Kretsch noted that during the struggle the forward deck plating of the UB-85 had been damaged, rendering the U-boat incapable of submerging. That was the reason why the British Corpses ship was able to catch the UB-85 at the surface. The crew's retelling of the encounter, along with that of the captain's, was chronicled by members of the British Navy only hours after the U-boat was found. The UB-85 was then cleared of any remaining crew that may have remained on board and sunk by the Corpses. Today there remains no explanation that would adequately explain the events which resulted in the sinking of the UB-85, and the capture of her crew.
A German U-boat, which sank almost a century ago, has been discovered off the southwest of Scotland. It was found by engineers laying underwater power cables. It's been claimed that the submarine's crew abandoned the boat after it was attacked by a monster. John McManus reports.
The waters of the Irish Sea, off the coast of Galloway. During World War I, German U-boats used this place as their hunting ground, and Royal Navy ships attempted to find and destroy them. Now, engineers laying a power cable between Ayrshire and Liverpool say they found the wreckage of one of them. This may be UB-85, a 45-metre-long sub which was sunk in April 1918. One of about 12 German and British World War I submarines which met their end in the Irish Sea. Sonar images from the seabed show it's virtually intact.
We do really detailed surveys of the seabed so we can look out for obstacles that might be in the way, and we're looking for boulders and things like that. What we didn't expect to find was a German U-boat. You know, it's probably the most amazing thing I've ever come across in the whole of my sort of construction experience.
The sub surfaced and was captured by a Royal Navy vessel. The German crew said they'd just survived a fight with a sea monster. Could it have been a relative of Nessie?
We don't know what's down there. I mean, Loch Ness itself is twice the depth of the North Sea. The Atlantic Ocean, I mean, who knows where the bottom is really in geological and maritime terms. What's out there and what could have snuck into the Irish Sea that night and actually attacked the submarine, we'll just never know.
That explanation just muddies the waters, says this historian.
This submarine was caught on the surface that night, recharging its batteries. It saw the patrol ship coming. It attempted to do a crash dive to get away. And the young officer whose job it was to shut the conning tower hatch at the top didn't shut it properly. And so once the submarine was underwater, it rapidly started flooding from above. So they had no option but to just blow all the compressed air they had, bring the submarine to the surface, at which point all they could do was surrender.
It seems then the idea of a watery creature defending Britain's shores may have been sunk.
I like the idea of Nessie doing a bit for the war effort, but I think in reality the real sea monster is the U-boat.
John McManus, reporting Scotland.
Gary Campbell, keeper of the Loch Ness Monster official sightings register, believes there could be some truth in the incredible tale. He explained, "It is entirely feasible that some large sea creature disabled the submarine." The WWAI report from the captain of the British ship HMS Hillary a year earlier makes it clear that seafarers at that time were well aware of large sea monsters that could be harmful to their ships. History has shown that there have been consistent reports of large monsters not just in lakes and lochs like Loch Ness, but out in open waters as well. For many years the giant squid was known as the fearsome kraken, and given the size of the oceans, it wouldn't be a surprise if many large species were still to be discovered. The area of sea where the attack took place has a history of sea monster sightings. They have ranged from the north coast of Wales to Liverpool Bay. What the German captain said could well be true.
Von Schottland rüber nach Irland gibt es so eine Meeresströmung. Mein Trick war, mich in dieser Meeresströmung einfach treiben zu lassen. Jedes feindliche Boot, das aus Loch Foyle kam, musste diese Meeresströmung kreuzen. Und dann, zack. Das war im Sommer 1942. Die See war ungewöhnlich ruhig. Da hörten wir ein Geräusch, wie ich es noch nie gehört hatte. Es war eigentlich fast schon Musik, aber nicht schöne Musik. Und dann hören wir so ein Schupfgeräusch. Und das Boot beginnt enorm zu schütteln. Irgendetwas, also ein Tier oder ein Ding, saß da auf unserem Boot und zwang uns immer tiefer. Aber was? Und dann beginnt das Boot gewaltig zu rollen und immer mehr zu sinken. Also diese Kreatur zwingt uns immer tiefer. Ich gab Befehl, die Motoren anzuwerfen, um aufzutauchen. Mein einziger Gedanke war, so schnell wie möglich zurück an die Oberfläche. Aber diese Kreatur, die da auf unserem Bug saß, zwang uns mit noch größerer Kraft wieder hinunter. Ich stürze ans Periskop. Ich will sehen, was uns da umbringt. Aber das Boot schüttelt so hin und her, dass es fast unmöglich ist zu stehen. Ich klammere mich an das Periskop und starre hindurch. Und ich sehe jetzt dunkel. Wir waren schon zu tief. Schon zu tief.
Grauenhaft.
Ja. Blieben nur noch die Torpedos. Wenn das Ding auf unserem Bug saß, dann musste ein gefeuerter Torpedo es treffen. Das einzige Risiko war, wenn die Torpedorohre blockiert waren, dann würde der Torpedo im Rohr explodieren. Rohrkrepieren, verstehen Sie? Aber wir hatten keine andere Rettung, wir hatten keine andere Chance. Wir mussten es riskieren. Ich gebe also Befehl, den Torpedo zu feuern. Und wir feuern den Torpedo. Und im selben Moment richtet sich das Boot wieder auf, als ob eine Riesenlast von ihm entfernt worden war. Und dieses Geräusch, diese Musik, beginnt auch wieder. Aber diesmal entfernt sie sich von uns. Sozusagen hinter dem Torpedo her. Und jetzt kommt das Verrückteste, sage ich Ihnen. Wie wir aufgetaucht sind, zeigt einer meiner Männer auf etwas im Wasser. Da schwimmt in den Wellen unser Torpedo.
Unglaublich.
Ja, genau. Wir hatten das Torpedo befeuert. Wenn es nichts getroffen hätte, müsste es jetzt kilometerweit entfernt sein. Aber da lag es. Naja, wir haben es aufgefischt und es genau untersucht. Und was fanden wir da? In die Mitte des Torpedos, also ringsherum, waren überall diese Spuren. So wie unser einer, wenn man sich so in den Finger beißt.
Bissspuren?
Bissspuren. Aber ich sage Ihnen, da braucht man ein ganz schönes Gebiss, um diese Spuren zu hinterlassen. In Stahl. Ne?
Und haben Sie das Torpedo behalten?
Na, ich wollte es natürlich. Vielleicht, dass Wissenschaftler uns erklären könnten, was uns da besucht hatte. Aber es war Krieg. Munition war knapp.
Was ist denn dann damit passiert?
Soweit ich mich erinnere, haben wir es dazu benutzt, um einen amerikanischen Truppentransport zu versenken.
Schade.
Ja, tat mir auch leid.